Hi, it's Charlie, and I must say that this topic of trying to make 2% per day, which came up as a result of a question to me, has provoked quite a lot of interest. It's clickbait, really. I hate this sort of stuff, personally. But it was a genuine question that came to me, and so I want to follow up on the video that I did because there's a number of things to add here. So some of the questions in the follow-up have provoked more interest from myself on what else I want to say about this whole making 2% per day. Now, like I said in the video, you can make 2% per day. Anyone could make 2% in a day from risking 1%, a 1 to 2 risk reward. Yeah, there you go, there's 2%. But what you have to consider as a trader is that you are going to have lots of losing trades as well. And it doesn't matter what you've back tested, doesn't matter what you've come up with on a back test. I've seen people back test stuff with 60, 70% win rates, 80% win rates, and then they all fall apart, a month after, they've started trading it live. So forget what your back tests tell you. The only real way of knowing whether you can achieve those sorts of results is obviously in a live environment. And I haven't come across anyone who has consistently made something like 2% every day. As I said in the video, it's about 480% per year, but that's not compounded, because if you were making 2% per day, 10% a week, well, at the end of week one, you've already gained 10%. So you're now compounding, so you're doing 2% on the new balance. So once you start compounding it up, it goes into thousands of percents in a year, and the numbers just get crazy. You really have to try, and this is what exhausts me and tires me mentally, is trying to get across to people it's just not realistic. Now, I'm not saying that anybody couldn't go and make 500% in a year. Darn it, even 1,000% in a year. If you really went for it highly speculatively, so obviously taking on more risk in order to do it, then could you do it? Yes, you could. I've even done something like that before. I've definitely done 400% plus in a single year on some of the challenge accounts. But that's my point. That's on speculative challenge accounts. Would you want to take that type of risk on your main account? I wouldn't, and I've been trading the markets for 27 years. So you have to get a sense of realism as to what you think you can achieve. It's not that you can't. Like I said, there are people out there, they're very, very few and far between, who have made 200%, 300%, 400% in a year. But to see people do that consistently, the numbers just get crazy, and the reality is it's just not that real. So what I tried to do is give a sense of reality to people, to say, look, it's so unlikely that you're ever going to make that sort of return. You're more likely, if you're trying to make those sorts of returns, going to end up blowing up an account because it sounds to you in theory like it's low risk. It's not, it's high risk. So once you go higher risk, then the risk of failure and potentially blowing an account is there as well. I would rather people reduce their expectations. You can still make phenomenal returns over time with a more realistic return, as I talked about in the video. And what I find interesting is I put a video out like that, and then it attracts, fun enough, trading educators. You can see them putting comments saying, oh, I've done that and I've had to delete them because they have an agenda, because they want people to follow them. It's a dirty, dirty world out here in the financial markets. And literally I've had to delete comments because people are trying to, hop on it and say, yeah, I do it regularly. Come and join me. Delete. And then you get people who still want to believe. And I don't want to dash people's hopes because, like I said, it is possible. But you have to look at, well, what is it you want to... Are you willing to take the risk of blowing up your entire capital in order to make 300% in a year? Maybe you are. And I've got trading members who will put a given amount of capital specifically into an account, a bit like I've done with my challenges, in order to just see what they can do with it. That's different. They're still trading their main capital in a more conservative manner because they don't want to blow up that. So they'll take lower risk per trade and all of that. So forget your back tests, because people will say, yeah, but Charlie, just risking 1% per trade. Seriously, risking 1% per trade on an intraday basis, because this is where this all really came from, because we're really talking about intraday trading here, because the question was about making a given amount per day. So we're talking about intraday trading. If you're risking 1% per trade and you're intraday trading and you're taking 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 trades a day, your risk is that there's going to be some pretty volatile results in there if you're risking 1% per trade. So professional traders won't risk that type of amount on intraday trading, because if you're taking 5 trades in a day, the odds of at some point having 5 losing trades in a row, 10 losing trades in a row, 15 losing trades in a row, even if you're a professional trader, are very high. At some point that's going to happen. And that creates huge swings of volatility in your account, which for a lot of people mentally you're not there for. You're not there for. And even a professional trader is not necessarily going to want that on their main capital. So there's lots of considerations when it comes to this whole thesis of trying to make 2% a day. And in the main, it's unrealistic. It would take a huge, gigantic effort in order to average that every day through the year. It's just, you have to have a sense of realism here. So, like I said, I've done it, but more so in swing trading, but again, on speculative funds, speculative monies. And so, yes, you can do it, but you have to ask yourself, what is it you want to achieve? And are you willing to take the risks in order to achieve that sort of goal? Or are you better off looking for lower returns and, in relative terms, more conservative returns and conservative risk, but much, much, much less likely of blowing an account, and you can still do really well over time? The problem that we live in a world of instant gratification, and people want it now. No, I want to turn my £5,000 account into £200,000 right now. I want to do that in a year. There's a big risk with doing it. Is it possible? I can never say that anything in the financial markets isn't possible, because I've done some things which have even surprised me. So anything is possible, but at a given risk. And so I have enough relationships with brokers to know that this very thing, this very subject that we're talking about, is almost impossible. So don't set yourself up for failure. Focus on more realistic annual targets. Rather, get rid of this whole daily target, weekly target nonsense, because all that's going to do, as I said in the video, is going to focus your mind on the wrong thing. Because if you've got, even if it's a weekly target, well, what happens if you don't hit your weekly target? Are you disappointed? Are you frustrated? All of a sudden, this leads to a cluster of mindset issues. And what we're trying to do constantly is to have a mindset which is desensitized to the effects of wins, losses, and whatever's going on with our trading and whatever's going on in the markets. So the more intense the trading, the more intense the mindset issues, and that ultimately is going to make a massive impact on your trading as well. So desensitize your expectations, reduce your expectations, and you can still do phenomenally well. I know people, I've got traders in my community who have averaged 50% a year over the last 5 years. That is incredible returns. And that's as an average. Some years have been lower, some years have been higher. And so it is possible to have incredible returns out there, but that's an incredible return. I've also got traders who have averaged 20% a year over the last however many years as an average. And that is a phenomenal return. Again, returns are subjective. It depends on how much you're risking, because some people might say, well, 20% a year is not a lot. Go and check out fund managers, hedge fund managers, and look at their historical returns. Now, there are some amazing ones, I must admit. There's a few out there which are exceptional. But in the main, if you did 20% per year over 5 or 10 years, you would be right up there with professional money managers. So, because again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but people that are making 20% annualized returns, a lot of them are risking less as well. So it's the risk versus that return. So don't just measure all performance by, how much have you made? Because someone who's made 200% in a year may have taken on huge risk as well. So what I want from the trading world out there and the more global trading community is for people to have realistic expectations from the markets. And so, yes, by all means, if you want to day trade, if that's your bag, or swing trading, position trading, whatever. But make sure that your expectations are not unrealistic. And please don't listen to the nonsense that's out there on social media, because it really is nonsense. Like I've said, I have relationships with many brokers, and none of them have clients who are making 2% per day every day. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but they don't. Don't get me wrong, they have clients who make phenomenal returns. Yes, they do. But not like that in an average, like a salary. They'll have people who make phenomenal returns because they might have held on to positions for ages. And they will have clients who make very, very good returns from short-term trading as well, but not like that. So reduce your expectations, extend your time horizon. It's not a rush. It's not a hurry to try and make yourself into a millionaire. So do it over time as far as performance is concerned, and you'll be far better off. You'll put yourself into the top 1%, because you won't be part of that 99% who take on too much risk and blow up accounts. That is my advice. Watch the agendas of people. I see agendas even on my channel. I'm having to delete comments from groups, and they're using bots to then put 20, 30 counter comments below it because it's clickbait, and they have an agenda to try and get people to come to them because they're saying, yeah, look, I've made all this money. No, you haven't. It's lies. And that's the problem that we have in our industry. There's so much lying that goes on when it comes to this sort of thing. So I hate this sort of title because it's, as I've said, it's clickbaity, and it attracts all of a sudden the dirty side of trading. But I had to do this article because, this video, because it is a genuine question. A lot of people who get into trading, it's not their fault. That they're just naive. They don't know what a realistic return is. And what I'm trying to say is, look, just in your first 2 years, just try and break even. Let alone trying to make 2% a day. Just try and break even over the first 2 years, because you're going to be making loads of mistakes. You're going to have to develop your trader mindset, and do not underestimate that mindset will affect your trading decisions as well. So if you can get 2 years in and you'll break even, don't see it as a failure. It's actually a success compared to what the masses are doing out there. And so I'm not saying you can't make money before that, but that's not a bad build up as well, because what have you done over 2 years? You've built up a huge amount of experience. You're developing your mindset. And if you're flat, or you've made a little bit even, great, I would say congratulations to you. So yes, and you're building to become the trader you want to be. So that's my advice. Take it for what you will. Some of you will still see it as, oh, it's negative. I would rather under promise to people and let them over deliver, or let the market over deliver, depending on how you trade. Under promise yourself so that you're not setting yourself up for disappointment. If you under promise and then you over deliver what your expectations were, well, great, that's a bonus then, isn't it? Think of things that way. Don't think that you're going to be making 1,000% a year every year, because if you did, well, actually no one does that, and just remind yourself of that as well. You can make good money, good returns from trading the financial markets, but some of it is just way too unrealistic. That's me, over and out.